Los Angeles, a city known for its endless sunshine, sprawling neighborhoods, and the promise of new beginnings. For decades, it has drawn dreamers from across the globe, each hoping to carve out a better life beneath its iconic palm trees and neon lights. But now, the city of dreams is shadowed by fear and division. The vibrant streets that once buzzed with hope are now marked by uncertainty, as neighbors eye each other with worry and suspicion. In June 2025, the iconic skyline stands over streets filled with protest and anxiety. The city's heart beats faster, echoing the tension that simmers just below the surface. Chants of justice echo through neighborhoods, with signs in both English and Spanish demanding answers, unity, and respect. The voices are loud, but so are the silences, moments of fear and hesitation that hang in the air. Unmarked vans cruise through Boyle Heights, their presence a chilling reminder of the uncertainty gripping the city. Residents glance nervously from behind curtains, wondering who might be next. Koreatown's shops are eerily quiet. Once busy markets and restaurants now stand empty, their doors locked, their owners fearful of what the next day might bring. Activists gather near MacArthur Park, handing out Know Your Rights pamphlets, determined to empower their neighbors with information and hope. Even as anxiety grows, law enforcement is everywhere, ICE vehicles, federal agents, and a sense of dread that seems to follow them. The city's familiar corners now feel foreign, patrolled by strangers in uniforms. Rumors and real reports of raids and checkpoints spread rapidly, amplified by social media and whispered conversations. Every alert, every siren sends a new wave of panic through the community. Parents keep children home, afraid to let them out of sight. Workers skip jobs, businesses close early, and the American dream, once so close, now feels heartbreakingly distant for many. The city is split, not just by its famous freeways, but by policy, belief, and fear. Invisible lines are drawn between communities, separating friends, families, and neighbors. Some see the increased enforcement as necessary, a way to restore order and protect the city's future. They wave flags and nod in agreement, believing this is the price of safety. Others see it as an attack on their community, a threat to the very fabric of what makes Los Angeles home. They gather in protest, comforting each other, determined to stand together in the face of fear. This isn't a distant debate, it's a crisis on every doorstep. News crews and police cars are now as common as mailboxes, and every knock at the door brings a moment of dread. For Angelenos, the question is urgent and deeply personal. What kind of city and what kind of country do we want to be? The answer will shape not just policy, but the lives of millions. The answer is no longer theoretical. It's not just a topic for politicians or pundits. It's a reality unfolding in living rooms, schools, and workplaces across Los Angeles. It's being written in the streets, in the choices people make every day, whether to speak out or stay silent, to help a neighbor or turn away, to hope or to fear. As dusk settles over the city, Los Angeles holds its breath, waiting to see what comes next. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The story of this city is being rewritten, moment by moment, by the people who call it home. Fear boiled over, gripping the city in a way it hadn't felt in years. The air was thick with anxiety, and every shadow seemed to hold a threat. People whispered in hushed tones, glancing nervously over their shoulders as rumors of what was coming began to swirl. Before dawn on June 6th, as the city still slept, a sense of dread settled over Los Angeles. The streets, usually alive with early commuters and the hum of city life, were eerily silent, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Coordinated raids swept through Pico Union, Van Nuys, East LA, federal agents pounding on doors, moving fast and with purpose. The sound of boots on pavement and fists on doors echoed through the neighborhoods, shattering the early morning calm. The net was wide, not just those with deportation orders, but day laborers, workers, even legal residents caught up in the chaos. No one felt safe. The lines between innocent and accused blurred in the confusion. People were stopped, questioned, detained, sometimes without papers on hand, sometimes without explanation. Many were left standing on the curb, bewildered, as loved ones were taken away, unsure if they would ever see them again. News spread instantly, activists mobilized, alerts flew across social media. Within minutes, networks of support sprang into action, sharing locations of raids and offering legal advice, rides, and shelter to those in danger. Protesters formed human chains, chanting, "You are not alone." Their voices rose above the sirens, a defiant chorus echoing through the streets, determined to show solidarity and resistance in the face of fear. By Saturday night, hundreds were detained, families torn apart, children left behind. The pain was immediate and raw. parents separated from their children, siblings clinging to each other, not knowing what the next day would bring. The trauma rippled through classrooms, workplaces, and homes. Teachers faced empty desks, co-workers mourned missing friends, and families gathered in living rooms, trying to make sense of the sudden loss. The city felt less like a sanctuary, more like a battleground. Trust was shattered, replaced by suspicion and fear. The familiar streets now seemed hostile, patrolled by strangers in uniforms. The raids left scars that would not heal quickly. Neighbors consoled each other, but the sense of community was fractured, and the playground stood empty, echoing with the absence of laughter. Los Angeles was forced to confront a new reality. City leaders scrambled to respond, holding emergency meetings and promising support, but the damage was already done. The sense of safety was gone. Residents peered out from behind locked doors, afraid to step outside, their trust in the city's protection deeply shaken. The city's heart was shaken. In the aftermath, vigils were held, candles flickered in the night, and people clung to each other, searching for hope in a city forever changed. As LA reeled, a new shock National Guard convoys rolled down the freeways. Soldiers set up posts near federal buildings and in neighborhoods hit hardest by the raids. The official line support law enforcement, keep protests peaceful. But many saw it as intimidation, a military occupation in a city of immigrants. Mayor Karen Bass condemned the move. Governor Newsom called it a political stunt. The standoff deepened, city versus federal government, protesters versus soldiers. Protests grew, fueled by outrage at the militarization of LA. For many, the sight of armed soldiers was terrifying, a sign their dissent was now a threat. The wounds from the raids deepened, and the city's sense of normalcy vanished. Los Angeles was changed, perhaps forever. Why Los Angeles? Why now? President Trump made immigration a central campaign issue, promising a crackdown. Operation Enduring Promise was months in the making, a show of force in a city known for resisting federal immigration policy. The stated goal to deport undocumented immigrants with criminal records. In reality, the raids cast a much wider net, spreading fear and uncertainty. Federal officials defend the strategy, blaming local sanctuary policies for forcing their hand. The message resistance will be met with overwhelming power. For LA's communities, the political chess match is painfully real. Federal officials insist the raids are about law and order. ICE and Homeland Security say they're targeting criminals, enforcing laws passed by Congress. Agents feel villainized, claiming they're protecting the country, but local leaders and advocates see a different reality. Many detained had no criminal record. Families are being punished, not just individuals. Angelica Salas of Chirla calls it cruelty, not public safety. The raids, she says, destroy trust and tear families apart. LA's vitality depends on immigrants, regardless of status. Aggressive enforcement drives people into the shadows, making everyone less safe. The city's social fabric is fraying. The humanitarian cost is immense. The debate is about more than law. It's about the soul of Los Angeles. The true impact of these raids is not just found in numbers or headlines, but in the deeply personal stories of those who live through them. Each face in the crowd, each voice in the room, carries a story of loss, fear, and resilience that statistics can never fully capture. Take Elena, for example, a single mother who was detained on her way to work. In an instant, her world was turned upside down. Her teenage son, barely old enough to shoulder such responsibility, now cares for his little sister. Both children are left terrified and alone, their lives changed overnight, their sense of safety shattered. Or Carlos, a construction worker who spent 20 years building homes and dreams in this city. He was picked up while simply seeking honest work. Now his wife Maria faces the daunting task of supporting their children alone, struggling to make ends meet while worrying every day about her husband's fate. Then there's David, a legal resident and Army veteran who served his country with pride. One day, he was stopped and questioned for not carrying his green card. Suddenly he was made to feel like a stranger in the very city he once protected. His loyalty and sacrifice called into question. These stories are not isolated incidents. They echo across every neighborhood in Los Angeles. From Boyle Heights to South Central, from East LA to the Valley, families are living in fear, unsure of what tomorrow will bring. Businesses lose dedicated workers, families lose their breadwinners, and children lose the comfort and guidance of their parents. The absence is felt not just at home, but in every corner of the community. Schools are filled with anxious students, their minds distracted by worry. Teachers and counselors do their best to comfort them, but the stress and trauma are hard to heal. Clinics see a rise in families seeking help for anxiety, depression, and sleepless nights. The effects of the raids ripple through every layer of the city, touching lives in ways both visible and invisible. The presence of law enforcement on the streets brings not reassurance but a sense of dread. The economic and social costs are mounting. Small businesses close their doors, unable to operate without their staff. Unemployment lines grow longer and families gather around kitchen tables counting every dollar, wondering how they will get by. Trust in institutions is eroding. People who once believed in the promise of this city now look at government buildings and city officials with suspicion and fear. Civic participation declines and polling stations stand empty. The city's fabric is unraveling, one family at a time. Each separation leaves a scar. Each goodbye weakens the bonds that hold neighborhoods together. The trauma will linger long after the headlines fade. Playgrounds grow quiet, support groups fill with those seeking solace, and therapists work tirelessly to help people process the pain. These are the real consequences, measured not in statistics but in lives forever altered. Every tear, every photograph held close, every candle lit at a vigil tells a story of love, loss, and hope for a better future. The city's pain is deep and personal. It is felt in every embrace, every silent prayer, every longing glance toward a future that now feels uncertain. Los Angeles is forever changed. The echoes of these stories will shape its future, reminding us that behind every policy, every raid are real people, families, neighbors, and friends whose lives will never be the same. The crisis exposes a core conflict: federal power versus local autonomy. The federal government claims supremacy over immigration law. LA leaders argue their police must build trust, not act as immigration agents. Sanctuary policies are about public safety, not just politics. The legal standoff means federal agents raid communities because locals won't cooperate. California laws restrict local resources from aiding federal enforcement. The National Guard's deployment adds fuel to the fire, raising questions about legality and the use of military force. The battle is fought in streets, homes, and courtrooms. The outcome could reshape American federalism for years to come. The impact goes beyond those detained. LA's economy suffers as immigrants, essential workers, stay home in fear. Projects stall, businesses struggle, the service industry falters, trust in law enforcement collapses, public health and safety are at risk. The city's social cohesion is threatened, fear spreading everywhere. What happens in LA is a test case for the nation. Other sanctuary cities watch closely. The precedent could spread. The national debate over immigration grows sharper. The choices made now will shape America's future. Los Angeles stands at the crossroads. As the city waits, uncertainty hangs heavy. More raids may come, the National Guard may stay. Communities organize, legal aid scrambles, protests grow. A new coalition rises, neighbors, faith leaders, business owners determined to resist. The crisis forces everyone to ask, what kind of nation will we be? The answer is unwritten, shaped by actions in LA and beyond. The future depends on the choices made now. What would you do? The answer will define us all.